Hi everyone, welcome. Boy, is it good to have you here. I had a Patreon member, one of my patrons, which I only have a few, but that's okay. I'm shocked I have even one, so it's a good thing. And I had asked them for a special request, something they would like to see me make. And one person in particular asked me to make a pumice soap for the kitchen with something like lemon essential oil. And I thought about that, and of course I could have made a bar soap, a lemon soap. But as many of you know, lemon doesn't hold up too well in cold process soap. Now, if you take a hot process soap and add the lemon essential oil right at the end after it has, once it's ready to put in the mold, pretty much, it will hold up a little bit longer, but not very long. And I thought about it, and I thought, well, for my hands in the kitchen, I like a liquid soap. I have found it easier to use in a pump bottle or a squeeze bottle, just a bottle. It's cleaner. I don't have to have a grubby bar of soap to wash off my garlicky hands or gardening hands, that kind of thing. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to make something for her? Because what I said to my patrons is, if I choose what your suggestion, you get a free one. So she's going to get a bottle of this when we're done. But let me show you what I'm talking about. So here I have just some of my Kind and Clean liquid soap. It's the same liquid soap that a lot of us soapers make. This one happens to be a Castile. It's only olive oil, but it still has a nice bubble to it. Not as much as if it were made with coconut oil, but it bubbles nicely. To make this, to put pumice in a liquid soap, as you can imagine, it's all going to sink to the bottom. So there are a couple of different things that you can do. It's going to make a very unattractive soap. I can tell you now, we have this nice clear golden Castile soap here, but we're going to change that because we're going to throw a couple of ingredients in here. I have here a 1/4 cup of bentonite clay. Just a 1/4 cup. That's 8 ounces, by the way, of my Kind and Clean liquid soap there that I'm mixing this into. Now, I will mix this with the mixer in just a moment. I'm just trying to get it a little bit moistened before I add in the other ingredients. We'll give it a final good stir when I get everything added in. As you can see, it's starting to bubble up. That's because the bentonite clay is absorbing that soap, and the soap and air is escaping from inside the clay. So we get these little bubbles. Plus, I'm stirring it madly, right? So I just wanted to get that clay moistened. Now, the reason I'm adding the clay will help to suspend at least a little bit. We're going to add more ingredients here, but it will help to suspend to make a thicker, more viscous hand soap. And it will help to suspend this pumice. So I added a 1/4 cup of the clay. I'm adding a 1/2 cup of pumice. And again, this is only 8 ounces of liquid soap. I have played with this recipe a lot over the years. This is what I find works best. It gives me a nice mixture, a nice amount of pumice when I pump it or squeeze it, because that's what you want. You don't want it all to, for just a few flakes here or there. So I like to put, I should say particles. This is just salt water. This is just sea salt that I have dissolved in some distilled water here. And it's pretty well dissolved. Why do I have this? This is going to add a bit of thickness to this. We don't want to add very much at a time. I would say just a squirt at a time. We're just trying to thicken up our mix a bit here. You add too much salt water and you will lose any bubble. It'll take away your suds. So you don't want to add very much. I just like to add a bit at a time until I feel it's at the right thickness. I think we need a tad more. This is my lemon and a little bit of orange essential oil. I like the mix. And the advantage of a lemon essential oil is that it helps to remove scent from the hand. So like if you've got garlic or onions on your hands, this will really help to take that smell off, or any other stinkies you might have. Because I have to do a lot of things outdoors in order to keep my hands clean, I have to use this kind of a cleanser. And I don't talk much about this kind of thing usually because bar soap is what I primarily make when it comes to soaps. I only make this generally for my own use. However, it's easy for me to put together for you if this is something you're interested in. Now we're going to bottle it. So give me just a moment to get a bottle and we'll get going with this. All right. There we have it, our scrubby hands. Let me demonstrate it for you. All right, so let's give it a test, shall we? I already know how it works, but you don't. I wish I had some grease to rub on. I really don't wish that. Who wants grease on them? But I just mean if I had grittier hands, maybe it would be a better example, but nonetheless, squirt a little out on your hands. Don't know if you can actually see the pumice there or not, but it's there. Can you make it out? So it is nicely suspended. I do suggest when you use it, maybe give it one tilt upside down just in case. There will be some settling, but that's because we don't have polymers. A lot of the scrubby soaps that are on the market that like have pumice in them or other kind of exfoliants generally have carboners or polymers. There are some of them are pretty nasty if you look them up, what they use. And for me personally, they're the little red things you see on me. You may think, boy, Patrick sure does have a lot of cuts or scrapes on his hands. And that's not it at all. I am so very sensitive to all sorts of things. I have been my whole life, and my adopted mother stated that a doctor told her when I was little, when they first got me, that even back then in the 60s, that they knew that I was going to be very sensitive to things because I would break out from, you talk about diaper rash, I would get really terrible diaper rash. Why I'm telling you about diaper rash. My point is, I'm very sensitive, so I can't use so many things that are on the market that are perfectly great for most people to use. I can't. So that's why I make these sort of things. I'm not going to say that this is superior to any commercial product that's out there, because it may not be for you. It's not very pretty. It's kind of a grayish color. It's not all that pretty. Now, you could put this, or I can put it, in an amber bottle or a green bottle, but still, if you really want to know what's in here, isn't it nice to kind of know what you got? I don't mind it myself. And after all, it doesn't leave you gray, but it is very scrubby. It does a really good job. I just can't show it to you now because, well, I'm not dirty, and I didn't feel I was, that would be a good idea for me to go put my hands under my car, rub them on my tires to get grubby enough to show you, but you'll just have to, in this case, take my word for it. I do put a waterproof label on things like this because, well, you're going to be using it. There is some preservative in here. And matter of fact, it's not on this label, so I'm going to remake the label because I forgot to put it on here. There are 14 drops of Finanip in here. As little as I could get away with. I did a lot of research on how much I would need with the amount of water that I added into this additional water. Now, keep in mind that the Castile soap is a higher pH, so it will fight off a lot of things. We don't have to worry about a lot of bacterial things growing in soap and those sort of things. But when you add water, even though I added distilled water in the salt, the salt water that I made, I still want to put in a few drops of a good full spectrum preservative because I just don't want to take a chance of you getting any kind of, if you purchase this, I don't want you to get any kind of a mold growth or bacterial, anything growing in there, right? So it's just a precaution. Now you can make this yourself and you don't have to worry about the preservative if you don't want to. But if I'm going to sell it, I have to put a preservative in it. I simply can't sell you something that I've added water to that way without protection. Sorry. I hope you found this useful. Maybe this is something you will want to make yourself. Haven't made it exactly like this before. This is a formula I've been working on for a while. And I shared it with you all because I'm not competing with anyone. I make plenty of sales on Etsy. I'm going to tell you all the truth. I sometimes make more sales than I can handle. I was talking to my friend Renee from Soaps from Love about this. She was asking, how do you do all this? Do the soaping, have a full-time job, take care of the farm? It's not easy. If I didn't love doing this kind of thing, I wouldn't do it. I do this strictly out of love, not out of a necessity. Last week, though, I had over 40 orders that I had to fill. And that wore me out. That's a lot of work. And that's why sometimes the videos are a little behind, because business is good on the soaping end. And that's a good thing. I don't mind sharing with others. And that's why, like with things like this, I don't mind telling you how it's made, because there's plenty to go around. There really is. I do no advertising. I do zero. And there are people who do videos on how to make money on social media and how they make $100,000 a month, and they sort of good for them. That's good. I don't have time for that. I just do my little YouTube videos, and my business comes from that. I do make some sales just through Etsy. People do a search on Etsy for a product, and they find me and buy things, especially tinctures. I sell, like last week, I sold over 100 tinctures. Several of those went to one person, but my point is that I sell a lot of tinctures and salves and things like that. And soap is something that it does sell. I do sell a lot of soap. Last week I sold a whole lot of soap. But it can be seasonal, and that's fine. I don't do this to make a living. I do this for fun. And like last week, when I had all those sales, does that money come in handy? Absolutely it does. It allows me to go out and buy more stuff. I just bought a whole bunch of new oils and butters, which I needed. I was low on cocoa butter, shea butter, cocoa butter, and mango butter, and I was able to get a new supply of those. I got in a bunch of sweet almond oil, castor oil, some apricot kernel oil, argan oil, all this for making sales. Though my sales that I make, I don't put toward paying bills, that kind of thing. I make enough money to pay my bills, get by fine. And anyway, I'm babbling, aren't I? Just babble. Patrick just can't shut up. But it's just being with you all. You make it so easy. I'm so comfortable with you all. But if this is something you're interested in, I'll have it in the shop. It's the same price as the Kind and Clean soap, because that's what it is. It's 8 ounces of the Kind and Clean with pumice and bentonite clay in it. So, like I said, I will relabel these. I do need to put the preservative. There is a preservative in here because some people do have an issue with preservative. I'm very thankful that of all the things, I am allergic to 2 preservatives that are on the market. Phenonip is not one of them. It's one of the more naturally derived ones, so I feel pretty comfortable using it. It tolerates high heat. I really like that about it. And it's easy to use. Anyway, everybody, you have a fantastic day. It was great visiting with you all, and I'll see you back soon. Goodbye.